Hiya, it's Owlet here, reviewing Listen by Stephen Moffat, and you know how I've been all smiles and happiness since the start of this new season? This frown is about to turn upside down. Let's get on with the review. So, before I even knew that the episode was written by Moffat, that opening monologue had me just kind of sitting there and rolling my eyes about what happens if you're talking to yourself and there's no one there to hear you, but there's something in the shadows like just listening to you. I was like, oh my goodness, please don't tell me the silence are back, because they were supposed to be a scary alien, but that kind of just fell short, and I was like, oh man, they were never properly explained. I really don't want them back. But no, it wasn't the silence. It was even more confusing and pointless than the silence. Yay! So it was a big old Moffat mess, which is a bit of a shame, because you could tell that there was themes of midnight and themes of things from the silence, and Midnight was an exceptional episode, one of his best. But mixing those two elements together with that script means that he missed the mark on both counts, in my opinion. It just... so many plot holes. So many plot holes. So let me break it down for you. Moffat kind of went from his strengths, which was making the Doctor new and interesting and complimenting Clara and building up Clara as his great companion, to 12 being quite critical of Clara's appearance a lot. He kept picking on her face and picking on her weight, and it was just really unnecessary and sort of came out of nowhere. And aside from the why do you need 3 mirrors, why don't you just turn your head line, I feel like everything else was literally just a dig at her, and the Clara that we've come to know in the last 2 episodes I feel like wouldn't have stood for that and would have actually been like, hey, shut up, like just drop it. I mean, it was great when she looked at herself from behind and was like, I was going to say it's great. I mean, it just shows that she's got a strong, healthy ego, and that's good to see, but it was just really unnecessary and kind of was ruining the new dynamic between 12 and Clara. And why do they keep inferring that Clara is thinking dirty thoughts? Like when she was sinking her hands into the TARDIS telepathic units, they were like, yeah, no, don't get distracted. I mean, like, I know they were trying to make the link with Pink, but it just seems really unnecessary. I don't know where they're going with that, so that was confusing. And then the moment we arrived at that child's home, I knew that it was going to be Pink. A lot of the episode was predictable. It's the same with when Pink, or the person in the spacesuit, came into the restaurant. You knew it was going to be Pink. I mean, it's fine for Doctor Who to be predictable because it works on kind of a monster a day type episode, so that's kind of fine. If you know the formula, you can tend to predict it, but it just seemed really contrived. And also, I don't know how that episode would have been remotely interesting for children. It was basically just centered around 2 adults having a really awkward date, and as an adult I found the episode incredibly boring, so I don't know how a child would maintain interest when there really wasn't any aliens, there really wasn't any action, it was just a whole lot of talking. And to be honest, the Doctor and Clara turning up in that kid's bedroom was almost as creepy, if not more creepy, than implying whatever that Sixth Sense scene was going on with the bed. It was like some Cousin It meets something out of oh, what's that the movie series at the moment, Paranormal Activity, and it just wasn't scary. I don't know if that dream is actually common where people dream that there's something under the bed, but I didn't find it very accessible or believable. And just the way they handled it was really interesting as well, like standing there and turning their back to it, like, okay, fine, don't look at it kind of thing. But there was something behind them, like you could see that weird grey shape after they removed the bed sheet. So for the end of the episode to kind of imply that it was just Clara who had originally grabbed the Doctor's leg and set up this whole time dream in motion, and this whole fear in motion, was really strange and just kind of made the whole episode be pointless, because then if it was Clara, who moved the chalk? Who's really there listening? Who was behind them in that bedroom? What was the point of any of it? Can I have that hour of my life back? I would have almost preferred to be studying for my exam. Like, it was just one of those really frustrating ones where you kind of sit there watching the episode like this going, no, no. Kind of waiting for the plot to kick in, and then that plot that did kick in was full of holes, so it was a bit disappointing in that. I think sometimes Moffat is trying too hard to make us fear things that are everyday, like how with the Vashna Narada, which I love, like Vashna Narada were awesome. It was fearing the dust particles in the air and your own shadow kind of thing. And then the silence was, you know, fearing that moment where you forget something and you don't remember quite what's going on. But he was kind of implying that same thing with like, oh, it turns your TV on, oh, it moves your coffee cup. Like he was saying all these things, but if was that still Clara too at the end? It was just really confusing. Was there or wasn't something there? Was that supposed to be scary? Because it just kind of made me frustrated, because I wanted an explanation and I didn't get one. I just feel as a result of this, no actual fear was built throughout. And when they did arrive in the future where there was nothing in the world and they were stuck in that space shuttle and there were things banging on it and they were talking about it could be the pipes cooling, was it really the pipes cooling? Was there really something out there? You know, when the hatch opened, was it just the wind that dragged 12 out there and then he hit his head? Like, they built up all these things that were supposed to be points of, oh no, what's happening? And it just became, oh really? I don't even know what's happening and I don't really care. It was kind of, which was upsetting because the acting quality was incredible. To be fair, everybody was really on form with that, but the writing just wasn't lifting the acting to the level that it has been in the past 2 episodes. And Moffat gave us a brilliant first episode. So in fact, Moffat's given us plenty of brilliant episodes in the past. We know this from Midnight and Silence in the Library, and he's very good at building the big bad monsters. I just feel like this just wasn't one of them. I liked that there were all these books lining the TARDIS. I thought that was cool. I really don't get Pink at the moment. I find as a character he hardly emotes. He's very deadpan, and because they keep cutting up the interactions that he has with Clara, you don't get a whole picture of him, and it just seems too quick to shut down for them to actually build a relationship as fast as they have, and it's just a very strange, almost forced thing that at present seems unnecessary, and I don't really know where that's going. At the end of the episode they did one of my least favourite things about Doctor Who, which I'm sure long-time watchers will know, when they just have a monologue from the companion talking about everything that went on. So they did that a lot with Amy, and at the end was Clara doing it as well, like, oh, it's okay, just, you know that there's nothing to be afraid of in the dark and it's all okay. And it just went on too long to the point that I actually did tune out. And I don't know what it was trying to set up with 12. I think it was trying to imply that, you know, Clara had been there since 12, was an itty-bitty doctor, and I just think they keep inferring that she is so much more integrated into the Doctor's past than needs be, and that monologue actually became creepy given the fact that it was the setting. And if that was the case, then yeah, maybe we should fear that there's a Clara under our bed. Just really bizarre episode, really weird choice of narrative pacing, and I just don't feel like it went anywhere. It kind of was just like a episode rather than a, oh, things are happening, or oh, I'm so scared. It was, yeah, not a happy camper. So yes, went from the absolute joy of Robot of Sherwood to, what was that? Really? What was that? But these things happen, so fingers crossed we get a good episode next week, because we've had 2 out of 3 that were good, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf likes to sing. So hopefully next week I'll be back with another happy Doctor Who review. Until then, toodles.